When you're trying to create something real, you need to look at reality. You can't just look at your computer screen. You can't think that you know. You want to be imaginative, and you want to draw from what you've observed and from your reference material and build upon it to create something that's outside of our reality.
I wanted it to be a new adventure, bring back a lot of the same characters, but it needed to be a new adventure, a new story, new special effects. I didn't want to rely on old tricks. I had to, take it to a whole new level, make it, not only bigger, but try to make it much better.
There's some new monsters. I think that'll be kind of funny. The skeleton creatures that are in the jungle, and then the Anubis warriors who rise from the sand.
For the Anubis warriors, we looked at dogs, we looked at ostriches, we looked at big dogs, and we looked at all of the hieroglyphic references that we could find. We looked at different kind of fur patterns. We looked at all kinds of mythological renderings, and we looked at every movie that was ever made that ever had anything Egyptian in it. And then we start to build from that.
We've got an army of thousands of dog-headed Anubis warriors storming this ancient city and laying siege to it.
This is what makes a dog look like a dog. He's got fur that looks like this, it reflects light this way. When he is angry, these are the things that his expressions do. This is what mean dogs look like. This is what dogs that are hurting look like. And we can put those faces on the dogs depending on whether they're winning the battle or losing it. And it makes a big difference as to how the characters play on the screen.
We knew from an early storyboard that the production supplied us with that we wanted to have some of these Anubis warriors climbing the walls of the city and really getting the feeling of an invasion. We started high on the wall and we populated our city with some simple pawns representing the Anubis warriors, and we come down past this tower and to the ground level where the shot finishes, focused on the hero temple, and we include the Anubis warrior, which then bursts into sand and takes us through this transition to the 1930s. This is where we do our big transition from ancient times to the time that the rest of the story takes place.
Where is the bracelet?
It's on its way to merry old London.
The sequence where the O'Connells are racing through the streets of London in a double-decker bus, fighting hand-to-hand with 4 soldier mummies. In fact, the same soldier mummies from the first film. The 4 that were left at the end of the first movie are the 4 that appear at the beginning of the sequence in the second mummy. And, in fact, O'Connell reacts by seeing them and saying,
"Oh no, not these guys again!"
We had a fantastic time, again, working back and forth with the realism created by makeup and creature effects and the sort of things that we can do nowadays with computer graphics animation, where we can do things that can't be performed by a performer, but they all cut seamlessly together in an action sequence.
No, not my car!
Oh, I hate mummies.
Glad to see me now?
Just like old times, huh?
Right! I realize a split second before it hits us that something's coming, and the something that's coming are going to be these little pygmy guys. Steve is fond of saying, the pygmies alone will be worth the price of admission.
Stephen was talking about the pygmy mummies pretty early on, and thinking that they were going to be something that was going to be in this movie that was completely different from what had been in the first film, but still had that dynamism, that scariness, and that kind of crazy creepiness. So to us, right away, we kind of felt the vibe on these guys, and the art department went to work. They're going to be small, they're going to be mean, they're going to have big pointy teeth, and they're going to be just ill-tempered and crazed. They're deranged. And this is where we went with it. And Stephen was like, yeah, that's the guys. What are those guys like? And we started to create the drawings. And these guys are swinging through the trees on vines, and they're barefoot, and they've got, sticks growing out of their heads because they've been laying around in the bushes for 3,000 years waiting for somebody to walk into their trap. And you have these wonderful sequences with Rick O'Connell running along and his son's hanging off his back and saying, "Dad, look out behind you." And he turns around and here's this crazed, demented midget with a big knife. He's like, whoa! Luckily, he has a shotgun, and that's the end of that guy. You have this moment that you're now able to create where you have this huge army of live-action figures that's now going to interact directly with 32,000 synthetic warriors. And that's really what we're targeting for. The soldier mummies, the priest mummies, the pygmy mummies, and all these characters. And we bring that complexity together. Now we've got something happening. Now we've got an army that really looks great. It looks great even up against the live action elements. And now you can have a battle. And that's really what we were after.
Universal studio head Carl Laemmle discovered his niche in the earliest days of the studio. Horror films, monster movies, designed to scare the pants off an unsuspecting audience. Nearly a century later, we still remember the haunting images of The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Phantom of the Opera. But it was in the early 1930s that Universal horror came into its own. Films like Dracula and Frankenstein thrilled audiences worldwide.
The Universal horror films were some of the greatest films made in that period.
Directors like British-born James Whale brought a European grace to these unseemly stories. Cinematographers like German-born Karl Freund played tricks of light to give these films their sense of dark foreboding. And then, in 1932, on the heels of Dracula's enormous success, Carl Laemmle enlisted Freund, this master cinematographer, to direct his newest franchise, The Mummy.
I can think back to when I was a second grader and began to get my subscription to Famous Monsters of Filmland. And I remember when the cover was of The Mummy, and it immediately got taped above my headboard in my room.
When I saw that movie, it wasn't just a horror movie, it was also adventurous and romantic and really exotic. And it really swept me away.
The thing people remember about The Mummy is the first 10 minutes, really. I mean, you're in Egypt, it's the British Museum expedition, and there they are working away on this mummy that they've dug up. And the archaeologists are sitting in the foreground, and behind them is this creature lying there in the sarcophagus. And it's Karloff in the most amazing makeup.
Boris Karloff, fresh off The Monster and Frankenstein, was brought on to play the dual roles of Imhotep and Ardith Bey. In real life, Karloff stood only 5'11", and yet he seemed to tower menacingly over the film.
I remember as a kid seeing The Mummy and loving the fact that I was seeing Karloff in 2 makeups.
Suddenly, you have Karloff in this incredible old age makeup where you really can believe he's 3,000 years old.
The original movie is absolutely gripping.
In the years following The Mummy's enormous success, Universal returned to the franchise again and again, with films like The Mummy's Hand and The Mummy's Curse. And then for decades, The Mummy lay dormant, waiting. And then in 1999, Universal was to awaken The Mummy once again.
When I heard they were trying to make it, I called them up and set up a meeting and went in. I wanted to do The Mummy because I really had it down. I had the whole story. I just knew what I wanted to tell. It was this big, sweeping, romantic, action-packed adventure movie wrapped in a mummy movie, if you will. It had horror and humor.
Steve shared everybody's enthusiasm for the project and for the task and the adventure of creating a new mummy. There was no question that he was the guy. As grand as some of the mummies have been, this is a very exciting and different one.
It's a reinvention of a classic character, a beloved horror figure. We all remember Boris Karloff, and we look towards those productions with a nod and a wink, and you know, that's old school. We pay respect to it.
The gods will receive into the underworld the spirit of Ankhsenamun.
We're doing a remake of the original Boris Karloff mummy because that involved the character of Imhotep, the priest who challenged the gods and was then buried alive. At the core of it, it's about a tragic and maybe even an evil romance, but it's about a romance nonetheless. And what he does for love, even if it means destroying the world.
We've created a character who's formidable, fierce, can shape change, can summon the 10 plagues on the earth.
In order to thrill modern audiences, the new Mummy needed to do more than just revisit the past. It needed to carry the franchise into the forefront of visual effects.
It's one of the most tremendous efforts of visual effects artists that I have ever personally witnessed.
What Eilem has done is give the Mummy an energy and a personality that could not have been done in earlier times.
So many people work so hard to bring those ideas to the screen so that Stephen Sommers' vision could really become a reality.
This new Mummy became a box office phenomenon, grossing over $400 million in the summer of 1999. The filmmakers immediately set to work on The Mummy Returns. There was more life in this mummy yet.
Within a couple weeks, I started trying to, figure out the whole story because I wanted it to be a new adventure.
Oh, I hate mummies.
It's got more special effects and a lot more action, but it had to be more romantic. And I thought, Brendan and Rachel now are very happily married. They're a great romantic couple. And I thought, why not? They should have a child as well, and we'll play with that. And that was part of the adventure and story.
It just seemed there'd been a good progression in character and story.
A couple of years ago, this would have seemed really strange to me.
You don't want it to be too different because then people come and go, well, that's not what I wanted to see. But if it's too similar, it's like, well, I already saw that.
With the first film being successful, you've got to get that balance right of having the same elements. You can't sort of turn out a completely different film. But the confidence of knowing that the first one worked allowed Steve to be a little bigger with the ideas, a little bolder, if you like.
Part of the reason The Mummy Returns works as well as it does is because the entire crews came back across the board. Not only did we have the same cast, the same director, the same visual effects people, we also had the same special effects people and the same creature and makeup people. The Scorpion King is probably the most difficult thing that we had to do on this movie. We wanted to create a truly memorable cinematic creature. Something's got to happen at the climax of the film that is bigger and better and more amazing than anything that has come before. And in this film, for us, that moment was the reveal of the Scorpion King.
The films have held a fascination for film audiences because the mummy is a beloved character. It's part of creating an illusion. That's what the audience comes to see. They want to root for the good guy and they want to boo the bad guy.
I think that's what the movie sets out to do. It's fun, it's romantic, it's action-packed. I think it's a roller coaster ride. You just get on and go, and before you know it, it's over. I think it's just very entertaining.
From Boris Karloff's unforgettable awakening to Brendan Fraser taming the beast, The Mummy lives on into this century and beyond.
Universal Pictures presents an exclusive behind-the-scenes journey back to the land of ancient Egypt.
Oh no, not these guys again! Come on! It is you who are the chosen one.
Join Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, John Hannah, Arnold Vosloo, Oded Bear, and The Rock as the Scorpion King to discover what happens when The Mummy returns.
Whoa! You must not read from the book!
The best sequel films always manage to deliver what everyone enjoyed most about the first one.
This just keeps getting better and better.
Everything that they loved in the first one, they will see on this one as well, and more.
Stunts are bigger, the whole concept is bigger.
Everything seems more urgent, bigger and better.
Is there a little something you forgot to mention?
The mummy has been resurrected. He's very angry.
They found him! Him!
Thank
And action!
After the enormous worldwide success of Universal's 1999 release The Mummy, the creative team of Stephen Sommers, James Jacks, and Sean Daniel were already making plans for a sequel.
By the time we finished making Mummy 1, I had all these ideas, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great to make a sequel? Because I think I could even, do better. All this stuff's being sucked from every angle of the volcano down to the hole. It needed to be a new adventure, a new story, new special effects. I didn't want to rely on old tricks. I had to, take it to a whole new level, make it, not only bigger, but try to make it much better.
Unlike most other sequels, the entire original cast returned, eager to reprise their roles.
The key is to first get the cast back. And that's what I felt really good about, because Brendan and Rachel and John and myself, we all agreed, look, let's not do the sequel unless it's going to be better.
The Mummy is a beloved character, and it's being well treated. And I think that the appeal really shows that people really care about it.
Well, Steve always said when we were doing the first one, he said, if we do a sequel, I would only want to do it if we could make it different.
From his experience in the first film, Sommers knew he could rely on the undeniable chemistry of his cast to carry him through the production of the sequel.
We all know each other so well that we can actually have a little bit of fun with each other and finish one another's sentences. And I think that family dynamic has really been well attended to and well written. Credit to Stephen Sommers.
So you guys run in looking at the X.
Well, you know each other and you feel very comfortable in that relationship, so it was lovely to see everybody right at the start, and also you hit the ground running. You start filming and you know what you're trying to do. You have a relationship, you have a communication already. You don't spend 2 or 3 or 4 weeks kind of figuring out where you're at and how everybody is, and if it's okay to say this and suggest that.
It's like, where have I been? Where am I going?
Exactly.
So it's very, very comfortable, and it kind of gives us that head start, I think.
I think this is why so many of us were so happy to do this again, because we just had so much fun on the first one. And Steve's a great guy, Brendan, Rachel, John, everybody, they're just all great.
In the newest chapter of the Mummy saga, we join Rick and Evie 10 years later, not yet aware they're about to embark on a whole new adventure.
We've set our film 10 years later. The people that we got to know in the first have kept together, and the relationships have evolved.
My character's grown up a lot. She's no longer kind of earnest, timid, wide-eyed librarian.
Go away.
Those are poisonous,
Only if they bite you.
Cut. Good, print that.
I think she's become a bit hooked on maybe adrenaline, although I think that since the last Mummy, nothing spooky's happened. It's just been lots of very exciting digs in faraway countries.
Rick and Evie are married. They have a small boy, he's 9 years old.
There you go.
He's kind of half Brendan's character and half my character.
It's only half of this.
Well, from my dad, I've inherited heroism, adventure.
Alex?
And from my mum,
The year of the scorpion.
I've inherited the love of Egypt.
You can almost feel himself say the words, "It's time to hang up my guns." This is the last one.
I know what you're thinking, and the answer's no. We just got home.
That's the beauty of it. We're already packed.
Why don't you just give me one good reason?
It's just an oasis. Darling. Beautiful. Exciting. Romantic. Oasis.
Kind of the white sandy beach and the palm trees and the cool, clear blue water. And we could have some of those big drinks with the little umbrellas.
Sounds good.
Sounds too good. What's the catch?
Supposedly it's the resting place of Anubis' army.
Yeah, you see? I knew there's a catch. There's always a catch.
My character still really kind of wanted to go on more archaeological adventures.
That's the emblem of the Scorpion King.
And she wants just one last discovery. She has a curiosity that's insatiable.
The bracelet of Anubis.
They make a discovery that is quite startling and very real, and with it comes a curse.
And this time, the curse is personal, as Rick and Evie's son is kidnapped. And they must seek the help of an old friend to return him to safety.
My little boy's out there. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get him back.
You give me that gold stick there, and you can shave my head, wax my legs, and use me for a surfboard.
Didn't we do that in Tripoli?
I have 7 days to enter the Pyramid of Gold before the life gets sucked out of me.
The sands of time have already begun to pour against you.
The clock is ticking, and if they don't arrive, then the boy will die.
Whoa, that was amazing!
As much as Rick might not want to have to try and save the world again, he's got his work cut out for him.
Here we go then.
Roll camera.
When the mummy returns, many other recognizable characters also find themselves along for the ride.
What I kind of enjoy about this character is that there is no development. Then I killed the mummy and all his minions and stole his scepter.
Oh, you're so brave.
And Rich. Did I mention Rich?
What do you think I'm doing here?
Oh, sorry, we must be in the wrong house.
I thought you said this was your house.
No, I didn't.
Call me.
It's great because what happened was we picked it up where we left off.
If he is not killed, he will raise the army of Anubis.
I take it that's not a good thing.
Oh, he'll wipe out the world.
Ah, they'll wipe out the world ploy.
He's a lot more involved. He's got a lot more of a responsibility in this film.
And for our heroes, that responsibility lies in stopping a familiar villain.
Stand aside there. Out of the way.
Imhotep. It's him. It's Imhotep.
Anach-Sunamun, the woman that I fell in love with 3,000 years ago, digs me up and takes me to London in the 30s.
Do not be frightened.
I am not afraid. I'm the resurrection of Anch-Sunamun, and my name is Mila. So my mission is to resurrect the mummy, because then the mummy can bring me back to who I really was.
We've kind of tried to build the whole relationship, because in the last movie we had all of 6 or 7 minutes at the beginning of it, you know, to do it. But this time is sort of more of a line throughout the film.
This place is cursed.
Did you acquire what we asked?
Alex.
I want him back, Rick.
When the time comes, I shall truly enjoy killing you.
I'll get him back, Evie, I promise.
I know you will.
Finding the balance between colossal visual effects, intriguing storylines, and strong characters, the tireless efforts of writer-director Stephen Sommers was more key than ever before.
He really, really works and pushes, and that really inspires the crew to work harder, too. It's a tough physical movie, and he has to work very hard.
Stand by, everyone. Quiet, please. Rehearsing.
Now, how far can I turn?
That was perfect, dude. Just like that, and finish the line, then turn forward. Right as you turn forward, I'm gonna cut wide.
Okay.
Steve Sommers really is the star of The Mummy, you know. It's written and directed by Steve Sommers, and it's really his movie every step of the way.
This whole wall's gonna explode with water.
What, when I'm running?
Yeah. If you don't run fast enough, it's gonna take you out and shoot you through that wall back there. You'll be dead in a second. Aren't I good with kids? I'm real good with kids, aren't I? Yeah.
The film wouldn't be possible if Stephen didn't have this level of energy, because he kind of acts everything out for us.
Come right into this lens. Stop right here.
I think Stephen's metabolism is probably spiked another 100 points. It's hard to keep up with the guy because he has such energy.
He's written all this and imagined it all, and he sees it all coming to life, and he has enough energy for 100 people.
One more time, Arnold. Give me a bigger pause. I'll cue you to say the second line. Here we go, and action!
If you watch him as he directs, he throws his hands in the air. It's like he's almost consuming the images.
Closer, closer, it's getting closer, 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 go!
He spurs everyone on and urges everyone on and keeps everything kind of bobbing up in the air. It's like a kid in a toy shop.
And they're still screaming, but it's...
You can't sit down when the director's, you know, at the end of the day after 12 hours of work, he still is standing up and running around and rushing and stuff. No way anybody else is going to sit down.
I never sit down. This is the first time I've sat down all day, I think, and I just like to be going. I think that my energy spills into the movie, and the movie has an energy and a kind of a funness, hopefully, to it. As long as you come through like this.
Like, the guy definitely has such a passion for the work that he does, and the drive and the energy that he brings to it is truly impressive, and it's infectious, to tell you the truth. I think it rubs off on everyone.
Marzuga Dunes, May 11th, 2000. The Rock.
To join the returning cast members, Stephen Sommers created a new villain.
The Scorpion King.
Scorpion King? The Scorpion King.
I play a character called the Scorpion King.
WWF superstar The Rock makes his motion picture debut, breathing life into Rick O'Connell's newest foe.
He was a fierce warrior, and he led thousands and thousands of men. He conquered a lot of land, and he conquered a lot of armies.
He should cheat a little bit more further to his right. That's great. I'm directing The Rock. For me, actually, the real key was when we sent it to The Rock. You know, he doesn't have to do this movie. He's got many things on his plate. But he read the script and said, oh, I want to play this part. This will be fun. And then I knew we really had something.
The first challenge The Rock faced was learning a new language.
I had to speak and learn ancient Egyptian.
You're yelling, and then you turn and go, Aku Mashenda! Whoa.
Which was interesting.
Haku Mashente!
I'll have that with me for life. I'll always remember that one.
What do you want me to go to on this, Steve?
And as far as for preparing for the role, you know, I'm in decent shape. I just had to prepare for the sun, but there is no preparing for the sun out here in Morocco.
Haku Mashente is the command. In Arabic, it means it's hot as hell.
Rediscovering memories of filming the first Mummy movie, the same crew returned to the Sahara Desert, the perfect location to begin the sequel.
I'm trying walking the same lines and the same footprints, guys.
Like Lawrence of Arabia says, it's clean, but it's also quiet, and cell phones don't work. Everybody's focused on the movie. For a director, it's perfect. We shot from Marrakesh, way out in the Sahara Desert, and now we're shooting also in Jordan and some in Egypt, so we're getting around.
Jonathan, get our bags.
Oh, my hands are full.
Now.
Right, I'll get the bags.
I'll deal with the flight details.
Honey, you're not a subtle man.
We don't have time for subtle.
I find ancient Egypt really fascinating. That's part of the reason I did the first movie. I love the whole culture and everything about that era.
Morocco has that spiritual thing, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you hear people calling to prayer, and so much spirituality in that place that actually, I think all of us were very, very much into it.
It has the largest sand dunes in the world, so we can put the camera way back and put characters in the background, so that as far as the eye can see, it's like there's not a footprint in sight.
While shooting in these exotic locations presented its own set of obstacles, another challenge the filmmakers faced was elevating their own standard of stunning visual effects.
Action!
To accomplish this, Sommers reteamed with the wizards at Industrial Light and Magic under the guidance of visual effects supervisor John Burton.
That's pretty good. The first question you always ask when you're working on a sequel, you know, what can we do to top ourselves?
3, 2, 1, action!
It's always a challenge to do a sequel and be successful at it. We try to collaborate with the director as early as possible, and Steve's great to work with because he appreciates how that makes the effects better at the end of the day.
You want to see him get the scorpion? Oh, he gets stung. Whenever I come up with ideas for special effects, they go, okay, how do they serve the characters? How do they serve the story? And if these big special effects work for story and character, then they make the movie.
The technology is always changing under your feet.
Let's get a foreperf behind them. The VistaVision on that one.
You have to sort of step on board the moving platform at a given point. Brendan Fraser's going to battle with 13 soldier mummies. We have to have that pretty meticulously worked out. So we come up with a very careful plan about where each mummy's going to be, what each mummy's going to do, what Brendan's going to do in response to that, and then we work it out very carefully.
Exactly like that, the timing, do the whole performance again for yourself. Let's do it.
It's like, what would really be happening here, and how do we now create part of that using visual effects and part of that using photography so that everything looks like it's all happening at the same time.
It is tricky. I mean, it's difficult just simply because you're reacting to something that you think you can imagine, you know, but of course, RLM's imagination is far more warped than yours could ever hope to be.
It really is like being a member of an orchestra, if you like, and playing your bit. The music sounds best when everybody's playing the same tune, you know what I mean?
You just kind of have to be brave and trust that you're not completely overacting if you feel that you are. And maybe you are a little bit, but the truth is it all makes sense once they put the film together.
Well, that's part of my job, to be here to help them understand what it is that they're looking at on that big blank blue screen, or what it is they're reacting to as they crawl through the dark caverns, or what it is that's chasing them that makes them want to run away in terror. It's very, very complicated work. So while I'm here shooting, my crew's back at Industrial Light and Magic, and they're working away trying to figure out how to do this stuff. So when we get there, we can really start putting it all together.
Okay, as soon as we're set, guys.
That's always a big challenge, is making sure that what you do, no matter how spectacular it is, people aren't coming out of the theater thinking the effects were great but missing the movie.
Lots of energy, guys. In the foreground.
It's not about speed. Yeah. It's about precision. Try one more time, right away, guys.
Okay, here we go then. Stand by. Defend your ears. Roll cameras. Okay, Steve, it's yours. Ready, and action!
It's great. A lot of interesting characters, a lot more action, a lot more excitement. It's a lot of fun.
A couple of years ago, this would have seemed really strange to me.
It's certainly different from what The Rock is used to. It's just first class all the way. It's gonna be great.
Just like old times, huh?
The romance, the action, special effects, the humor.
Every time I hook up with you, I get shot.
It's time someone taught you a lesson, wench.
Okay, now I'm a believer.
That's my husband and my son down there. Make me proud. My feeling from this side of the camera is something a bit unusual is happening.
That mark means you're a protector of man.
Oh, I hate mummies.
My dad is going to kick your...
I do not think so.
They're just going to get more of what they had the first time. It's going to be bigger, bolder, and a few surprises.
You're too late, O'Connor.
I need you to help me find my son.
The time has come, my little friend.
Dad! Get out of the way!
Jonathan, I thought I said no more wild parties.
Well, when you're popular.
If you like the first Mummy, this one's just simply bigger and better and more hellacious.
This is bad, Evie. We've had bad before. This is worse.
And it is a ride. It's something that you really want to go on and get out the other side and do it again and again and again. I mean, it has been for me.